Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele and Francis, with my amazing co-host Tanya here today. Talk about episode 2. How are you doing, Tanya?
It's hot. It is really, really hot out. For anyone who is also in this heat wave, stay hydrated. Just stay cool out there. It's a lot right now.
So I know exactly what you mean. I had to go for like a wardrobe fitting, and they asked, like, I'm always like, why do they ask you to bring your own things? Because I know they're not going to use my clothes. I know they're not. And I was like being like resourceful, and I decided to take the public transit as opposed to taking an Uber. So I'm carrying like my wardrobe that I know they're not going to use, and I'm just like dripping sweat and like my mask and like oh my god, it was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So yes, I know what you're feeling.
It's a lot. And I like the heat. Like I'm a summer person, but it's so humid here that it makes like these really, really wild, like 30 plus degree days feel like too much. I'm glad to be inside.
When I see people standing in the sun, I'm like, I don't know how you could be in the sun right now with it being this hot outside. Like me just standing still, I had just beads of sweat down my face. I'm just like, oh my gosh, get me back. Like I used to not be an air conditioning person, and then I live on the top floor of a house, and it's just so hot in here. It's always like 105 degrees that like I'm like, I need air conditioning. So air conditioning it is, especially in this heat wave. And Tamika's joining us. Hi, Tamika. Thank you for being here. All right, so we are here to talk about Bachelor in Paradise Season 7, Episode 2. What are your overall thoughts of this episode, Tanya?
Lots of cringe moments. It was entertaining for sure. There are certain storylines that I'm not as interested in as others, but overall I felt like it was a good balance of like some things that I was invested in and some things that I wasn't invested in. So I'll take it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because I didn't enjoy the last year of The Bachelor and Bachelorette, but it's just like really nice just to sit down and watch it. And I was like, okay, yeah, let me just see what's going to go on in these people's lives. Like, I'm not super annoyed. Like, yeah, maybe an eye roll here, an eye roll there. But, like, no, I don't feel like in the pit of my stomach, like, irritation with, like, how things are playing out and, like, you know. So I definitely enjoy it on a whole. And I'm actually very excited to kind of pick it apart today with you. Starting with, what did you think about all the opening caption or the opening scenes? We were kind of waiting for it until we were introduced to who was going to be on the show, and now we get to see their introductions. What do you think standouts for you?
Overall, they weren't that memorable. I think a lot of people just did like really basic things, which is fine. But like I can't say many of them stood out to me.
100%. I did write them all down, so I'll blow through them.
Okay.
And there's a couple that are like, okay, but they're all kind of bland McBland. So Abigail, like, who cares? Like, you're just gonna, that's all you're gonna do is make a heart? Okay.
Yeah.
Joe holds a mango. I think it's a mango anyways. Some sort of tropical fruit. Cool. Okay. Deandra flips her hair. Okay. Kenny shimmies out from behind a rock naked. Whatever.
Surprise, surprise.
I did like seeing the guys all doing like the arm curls together. Like I find it hilarious when they get them grouped together to do these silly things. I find that to be funny because it's like pitching that concept, like, okay, guys, like we just want you guys working out together. Like just, I would love to see the wrangler that's like getting them to do these actions. So I thought that was kind of humorous, but in comparison to everything else, it was like hysterical. Marissa comes out of the water. She looks gorgeous, but it wasn't like silly and fun like I was hoping. Like, why didn't she fall into the water like an idiot or something? Like, that's what I want. Fall into the water. Natasha does some sort of like side bridge thing. Okay. Is she into yoga?
They're probably like, do you guys have any tricks? Like, who knows how to do a cartwheel?
Serena P knows how to do a cartwheel. And it's a nice cartwheel, not gonna lie. What? Why are you doing a cartwheel? Brendan, this is the only one I texted you this, but Brendan like tugging at his turtleneck, I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny.
In reference to his turtleneck lifestyle.
It was very funny. I like the fact that, like, I hope that he came up with that concept and they just didn't tell him to do that, because, like, if he came up with it and be like, well, everybody's making fun of the fact that I wore turtlenecks on Tasha's season, so, like, let's do something with the turtleneck. So I hope he was the one that conceptualized that. I thought that was funny. I did laugh out loud. Karl does karate.
I mean, it's for the best that Karl was barely in the episode, so.
Fair, but he even had like the bandana around his head, like he's from Karate Kid.
That was probably his idea.
Probably. Yeah. And I rolled at this one, but it was okay. But Demi stirring the pot. But no, I was thinking the whole time, macaroni in a pot.
I mean,
and what's this with this whole tongue thing? She did it all episode. This whole, like,
I don't know. That gesture is always so silly to me when someone does a tongue thing, like a playful, sexy tongue thing. Maybe because I feel too ridiculous doing something like that. But you do you, Demi. You do you.
Too much. But it's entertaining, at least, to a certain extent. Tajwan, of course, she's going to be fanning herself. We wouldn't expect anything less from her. Conor in the cat suit playing with the the distracting toys. Okay, it must have been really hot in that cat suit. It's quite warm in Puerto Vallarta, or in Sayulita where they are. So that would have been hot. Desenia is lying in the surf. She looks pretty. Noah's on a beach chair. Was he in a robe? That's the only thing I was like, if he's in a robe, I like it better if he's in a robe and like mocking
Bennett.
Bennett.
No, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember what his was.
Because it wasn't memorable. Serena P does the cartwheel. Ivan stops doing a push-up to smile at the camera. I kind of laughed at that one because it's so stupid. And Kelsey, of course, opening up a gigantic bottle of champagne. Like, okay, is this the last time we're seeing this joke, or do you think we'll see this joke again?
I'm done. But I was watching this episode with Michelle, and Michelle doesn't really watch this show. And when she saw Kelsey, she literally said, "It's the champagne girl." So I guess that is just what she's known for. So keep milking it until it runs out of its steam. This may be it, though. This may be too much, because. But
when she said it's champagne girl, it's because she saw the introduction with David Spade, correct? Or
no, like from Peter's season, she just knows her as the champagne girl. So people know. And then it literally says champagne girl underneath her in her Chiron. So I was just
I'm into that.
You're right. You are so right.
That's funny. Aaron wetting his hair. How'd you like that? He's your guy.
I mean, I have complicated thoughts about his performance this episode. As for the intro,
it's funny that you say his performance.
Yes. I feel like this was a classic Aaron, just like kind of goofy and just doing whatever. Like, he's just such a random person to me. I'm obsessed with his like silly, like, I don't even know how to describe him. There's just something like really, maybe it's his age. I think it is always going back to his age. He does seem so young to me, and just like, so he's like a golden retriever to me or something. Like, I don't know. He's like a pup.
He is like a puppy that you just want to like, come here, cute. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. So Nicole liked the episode, but not loving Victoria P right now. I can't wait to get to see if you like Victoria P, Tanya.
No.
Okay, so Luigi says, I've never seen anyone dominate Paradise like Demi. Did she, though? Did she dominate, or did she just say she dominated Paradise? I'm not sure. Okay, the players this year don't seem to understand the tone of the intro sequence. They're not cheesing it up enough. Exactly.
Yes.
I think that I'm wondering if maybe that was creative direction by Chris Harrison. Shall we say that maybe like that was his baby? And no.
No. I think they're just like too afraid to look silly. So they probably like had to do a million takes of each of these, and they just kept the good takes in. It's like when you have to like pose for a photo, you just get like a few shots and then you work with what's best. I think they were probably just like, whatever, we got to get this in. But people weren't committed to the bit.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Is there anybody? Like, please, Thomas, do something stupid when you come into the credits next week. Like I need him to show what he's made of. Totally want to see that. Okay, so can you help me understand this last or second to last one? Tammy with the available sign.
I don't know if that's a reference to something or not. Honestly, like so many of these went right over my head. I
didn't get
like
it.
Couldn't place half of them at all.
And then Victoria Larson with the jewels on her face and
that was ridiculous.
The crowd.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll give her that. But like, it's also I wish that she fell or something. Like I just wish that people weren't taking themselves so seriously. And then we have Trey in the kiddie pool with the beach balls. It's a kind of play on his other ball thing in the back of the pickup truck. And then we see Serena C with a cocktail on a pool floaty. There was nothing good except for the turtleneck.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we see at the end Wells, like, with the no blender lid. Whoa!
So wacky.
Wacky. And then David Spade really telegraphing exactly where the joke was with his book that says 7 Ways to Start Drama. Did you catch that? So yeah, that was the intro. I was disappointed, but hopefully with the people that are coming in, they will get a little bit better. Wait, what? No. Sophie, we're talking about Bachelor in Paradise. Luigi says, literally 5 minutes, 3 minutes of screen time, and Demi already had a crystal clear storyline of villainy, romance, heartbreak. She is killing it. Do you know what, Luigi? You make a strong point. She is. We are curious as to whether or not she's going to be participating in this season. Like we are invested in her story. But okay, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
With what goes on in this particular episode, why on earth have they been showing clips of Demi in the supercuts with her interfering with Mari and Kenny and all that stuff? Like, don't they want to still keep the drama there? Because I had no drama in the rose ceremony because I knew she was going to be there next episode.
Yeah. There wasn't as much tension when it really boiled down to it at the end, knowing that that's something that's coming up. But then, like, honestly, the other girls that were up for elimination were not compelling enough characters for me to really feel like I would have wanted them to stay over Demi anyways. Like, I think Demi, I don't know that she offers my favorite energy to this show. I'm very hit or miss with her. I initially liked her, and then the more I saw of her, I'm kind of over the bit. But she did, to Luigi's point, very skillfully navigate everything that happened thus far. Like, came in strong, did her thing, and then was able to kind of like flip the information that she received to her advantage and kind of craft her storyline in that way. And as we saw, eventually like get a rose at the end, which comes from an experienced player. So I think we did need someone like that in the mix, given that the only other person that we have that's doing that is Joe, who seems like in a relationship at this point, and then Wells, who's the bartender. So I think we did need a little bit of like a veteran energy in the mix. And that's what I appreciated about Demi in this. But then I was also like so uncomfortable during so many of her scenes. So But that's Bachelor in Paradise. It was always cringe.
So Natalie wants to know what her reactions to Greg Bachelor rumor. I also heard that he's not going to be the Bachelor at all anymore. So I'm not sure where it's going. I personally would rather Greg be the Bachelor over Michael A. and maybe even Andrew S. just because I think Andrew might be too young. Personally, I don't care for Greg, but I'd rather him than the people that I've been hearing be chirping as to potential Bachelors. Your thoughts?
Well, I messaged you about this. It's like it's franchise return to form. You know, like stereotypically attractive white guy that they can have be their lead, which isn't all that surprising to me. I think what it does give weight to, though, is for those who aren't aware, and Greg talks about this on the Vile Files, which I did listen to, which someone suggested that we listen to.
With Greg,
he talks about how he was initially supposed to be on Becca Kufrin's season. So casting has been trying to get this guy on the show from time. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if like from way, way long ago, they had pegged him as a potential to be a future lead. And that's why they kept kind of calling him back, because he also says in that interview that then he was set to go on Claire and Tayshia's season, and then the lockdown happened. So then like he went back, and then when the time came to go back to do the show, he didn't feel like Claire was like the right match for him or whatever. And I'm just like, why do you have so much say in what's happening behind the scenes? It feels like they really want this man to be present. And it really, I mean, it gives a little bit of a different texture to his fight with Katie as well, if we're of the mindset that he was just going to break up with her no matter what, or that was going to end regardless because he could be the potential next Bachelor. So I don't know. There's a lot of pushback about that being announced from the fandom, but there's a lot of problematic aspects of the fandom as well, because there's some people that are like Katie's like guard dogs out there, just like defending her to the nth degree for, I don't understand why they're so intensely defending her. So we'll see what happens, but it does not surprise me is my TLDR.
Because we both said that we would most likely not cover if it was Michael A. Would you want to cover a Greg Bachelor season?
Not really. No,
like once a month thing.
He's just like, I don't know. Like The Bachelor at this point, I'm in a tough place with it in terms of the main franchise. Like the last 2 seasons have been so bad, and we've talked about it obviously here, but like I'm actually like, I don't know that that's going to provide me with more enjoyment than like several other things that I watch at this point. And I do not really think that it's gonna change.
Get better. I wonder, like, can we swap this out for like Below Deck? You know,
I feel like I'm on the fence. Because like realistically, I still may want to watch it when that time comes, but it's a big TBD for me. He's not like the lead I need to see or anything like that. Like if it was, I don't know who I'm waiting for. I actually don't know. I don't know if it's a lead thing or the franchise thing.
Would be the best. Thomas would be the best lead. Like he would be very entertaining, and it would be very messy, and girls would be obsessed with him. Like I think it would be what they really want, and they just don't know it yet. So Tamika was saying before that she's definitely not invested. Was that in Demi's storyline or in like? I literally did not realize Serena C was on the beach until this episode. Neither did we really. I was like, oh yeah, she's here. Who's giving her a rose? Why did they bother bringing so many women that didn't even have a chance? Like all these relationships seem to be built in already that like there was no way for someone on the outside to be able to get in.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird. And the first one is Brendan and Natasha. So they had that weird kind of flirting thing with like biting on a banana. The one thing I really liked about the scene is I was like, the first that I thought of, I was like, Does Brendan like Black women? Is it a little bit of a thing? Because it's just been a pattern so far, which I stand.
Yeah, or at least like mixed race women for sure. Yeah, I mean, go for it, Brendan. We love to see it. I'm just like, are you really buying the Brendan and Natasha thing? Like, I was kind of getting the vibe. Maybe it's because we know about the Piper of it all, which was kind of glad to see was actually being discussed. Just a sort of breaking of the fourth wall. But like, I feel like Natasha is well connected enough in the world that it wouldn't surprise me if like they low-key had an agreement to be like, okay, like I'm waiting for this person. I like you and I want you to stick around. So we're going to do this until we see what's happening. Because I don't necessarily get a romantic connection between them, but I do think they maybe respect each other enough to like be like, okay, this is like a low-key friendship rose situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she has heart eyes for him and she would want to take it to a romantic level. And we see later on in the episode, we'll talk about it more in depth in a moment, but I was really waiting for the moment where they were going to kiss. I was like, where's the kiss? Where's the kiss? And there was no kiss. They just kind of and rejoined the group. So I was like, I thought that was strange because there was a moment in there where there should have been a kiss. So I could get behind your friend zone. Let's just hold out with the rose until Piper comes to somebody else for you.
Yeah,
very possible. Okay, Luigi's holding out hope for a dark horse, Jordan Kimball. I don't know if I can have Jordan Kimball back on my screen ever again. I really couldn't stand his take on, I don't remember which podcast it was, but it was like conservative bachelors or Bachelor and Bachelorette, Bachelor Nation, conservative Bachelor Nation or something like that. And they were just kind of really not really great about Rachel Lindsay, about how I didn't enjoy their perspective on how we should be treating Chris Harrison. I didn't really align with anything that he had to say. So his antics and his humor became zero fun for me because I don't really stand by everything else that he says. I don't know about you. What about your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I'm not, I don't care to see him at all.
Yeah.
He was annoying to me even before. I get what you're saying though, like from a chaos and drama perspective as like another entity that's going to stir things up, but I don't want to give him any more attention.
So Tamika says he was supposed to be on Becca, Claire, and then got on Katie's this time. This is setup basically. Yes, I do think it was a setup. He's there, and I think that they will still put him as the Bachelor because of the fact that the people that like him are the fans that they care about. So even if like the Katie supporter, like the people that are like, no, Greg, they're not their favorite fans. They're not the people that they're trying to gear the show towards. And so I don't think that they're going to care. I think they're still going to put him through. And
of course. Of course. Like there's so many before I genuinely try and distance myself from the main Bachelor subreddit because it's just there's so many bad takes on there. I'm sorry, but like some of them I'm just like, oh dear. But before Greg really got hated on by many people based on his fight with Katie on the show, there's like a strong contingent of people on that Reddit that are like Grippo's girls basically and self-proclaimed that are kind of trolling, but like also like very seriously standing this man. So yeah, like, are you kidding? People just care if someone's hot or not. Like, that's literally on a base level enough for most people to care. A la Christian Smith getting all these followers for doing nothing on the last season. Like zero. Christian, remember? Exactly. Kind of curly-haired guy that literally just got so many followers for zero reason. Just because he's hot.
Katie season?
Yes. He was out like week 3, week 2. Like he was.
He's on my team.
Probably.
Curly hair? Yeah, I think I
like lighter curly hair. Anyways, it's enough for this show. And honestly, that like wouldn't expect them to be very daring in their choice. I think they want a return to what you said, like what their audience seems to want, and
Peters, the virgins, they want that very all-American boy next door thing. It's kind of weird, to be honest.
Yeah.
So to me,
Oh,
that
it is.
Brendan and Natasha, but she is afraid that Tasha will get hurt. Tasha will 100% get hurt. Because Brendan, I don't think is into her. I do think Brendan is waiting for Piper to come around.
Yeah, 100%.
She'll be kicked to the curb, unfortunately. Sorry, but you know, I can see that. But basically, if he said what he did about Piper, just rude, I'm not so sure.
What, like saying that he just like hung out with her briefly or whatever? I think he was trying to downplay it personally. Well, because he can't just say we've been dating. Like that's clearly a no-no, as we see with Victoria P. So
no, but he clearly got caught with like, oh my God, like they know that like we've set up us pretending to meet on Paradise, and oh my God, I have to like lie about this now.
Yeah.
I think that she'll be okay with what he said, because I'm sure that they're like, hey, I'll see you on Paradise. Will you give me a rose? Like, I'm sure it's part of their like dating like vernacular, you know? Like,
yeah,
this is what they're talking about for sure. They planned it, I think.
Yeah.
Gribble girls like the people throwing themselves at a Bundy and Manson after their arrest. Oh my God. Wow. People want someone to fix, I guess. That's possible.
No, it is a very fervent and like kind of dark-sided energy when it comes to these obsessive, like, I don't know, it's really been illuminating following this show and just like kind of looking at stan culture in that way. Because like, you know, like there's like artists that I love that I would have said that I stan, but like in this day and age, I feel like being that intense with your fandom of somebody is like, it's kind of dark-sided sometimes, or I feel like it's reflecting something different within yourself. So it definitely gives you perspective on how easily people can just get behind something, and most of the time it is the most basic person and the most basic thing, and the excuses that come out of the woodwork in support of people like that. Meanwhile, we know that the scales are not tipped in the favor of others, and they don't get the same level of support or respect from the get-go, and it's an uphill battle. It's wild. It's actually wild to me, and partly why I think this show, I don't know what direction it will ever go. Not so much Bachelor in Paradise, but the main franchise, because they either need to commit to like actually being more progressive or not, but this middling is not really doing it for anybody. It's just kind of like creating this like weird combative fan base, and I don't think that they're gonna change for the better, because it's a manipulative TV show. So why would they?
And another thing that popped into my mind was back in the day, I kind of did this a little bit, but remember when you buy like those magazines and you cut out the pictures of like celebrities that you used to like, and you cover your wall with like me, I was like all into 90210, so like my whole wall was covered with that. And the one, I'll tell it just because it's so embarrassing, I had a thing for Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't know why, but like he was on my wall. But anyways, I'm wondering if this is a new version of like these teen bop crushes. Like he has like a teen idol kind of ness to him. Maybe he brings that out in people, these like teen crushes, or like the boy that you would have a crush on in high school. I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to appeal to with these like cherub faced, like boyish, like cutie pies, you know? I want to dive deeper into that, like in my own thoughts, because like I feel like I could write like a really good paper about this, and I feel like I'm onto something, but I haven't pinpointed exactly what it is to like be idolizing these men that look like teen idols.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
For sure, he looks like he's from like a teen movie for sure, and I think there's this level with social media, where people just feel like they know people more or are owed something more, or like when we were younger, like I would collect like my Spice Girls stickers, and like I thought that I knew them, but it was just facts that we were assigned about them and like in the appearances that we saw. So like the movie or their performances or whatever, and you cling on to those things. But we didn't have Instagram. We didn't have this level of access where I think that's what's playing out more, is like people think that they know these people. And that's also partly why there's so many more problematic aspects of the fandom too, because like you don't though. Like you actually
No,
don't.
at
You
all.
think you do, but you don't. Just like people don't know me if you just know my social media. If you just looked at my Instagram, that's like a very, very small snapshot of who I am as a person. So I couldn't imagine it. Like, it actually terrifies me to think of like that level of like people following you, and just like it's gives me anxiety. Like my anxiety's like rise like thinking about that.
We have Cassandra in the house. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for being here. All right. No, he had better conversations with Natasha.
He said that, yes. He said that. Yeah, that is a bit of a red flag.
That's
to be like, yeah, like for him to be like, oh yeah, I like her, or like I've hung out with her a few times, but the conversations we've had here are much better than the ones I've had with her. Again, I'm wondering how much or how little he's downplaying there. I'm not sure.
I think it's a downplay. Like that's
what I thought. Maybe
making Natasha feel as though there's a chance. Like maybe he doesn't know if Piper's actually going to get onto Bachelor in Paradise. You know, maybe he wants to make sure that he gets roses until she does come. So I think that, I think it's all a play, to be honest. So Tayshia dodged a bullet with Brendan, you think?
I mean, I think he can kind of get away with, first of all, obviously he's extremely attractive, and like I think he knows this. So I think he kind of plays it more like, how could I use an example of this? Like he goes on a date with Demi. They come back. They've been gone all day. Natasha approaches him, and it's like, oh, hey, how are you feeling? How do you think I'm feeling? Like, not great. Like, obviously not good. But he just kind of has like this like shy sweetness. I don't know. Like kind of, he doesn't outwardly seem like a fuckboy, which means that he could probably get away with some fuckboy tendencies before people 100% catch on, if that makes sense.
Yep. He definitely can do whatever he wants and get away with it. I think he's
like, there's no way he doesn't know that everyone thinks he's attractive. Like, I'm sure every day someone tells him how attractive he is.
He was pretty good looking on this beach. I'm not even like
a no, he is.
And I was like, okay, I'd probably be into you on this beach. So Cassandra is admitting to be a Greg stan. Okay, tell us why, Cassandra. I'm a Greg stan in order to spite Katie. Yes, you know what? I'll agree with that. Sorry, like I know there's a lot of people that really love Katie, but I really did not enjoy her. It's almost as if the parasocial relationship are inherently unhealthy. He ironically typed to a stranger online.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying about like feeling like you know people online, like parasocially feeling connected to these people, and like just projecting basically so much onto them and expecting so much in return, but they don't know you. Like, and you don't know them. So it is super unhealthy. It's really interesting, and definitely something that artists use to their advantage at times. Like Cameo, for example. And then in many ways to their detriment. So in development, because this is like something that is more present with social media, of course. So we'll see, but it is unhealthy. I agree.
Tamika thinks that Brendan should come on to the F-Boy Island. He'd be good.
He would be amazing on Love Island as well.
Brendan to Natasha was like, I know you already heard about the Piper thing. And Natasha was like, no, not really. Okay, BB says Demi had a girlfriend at home the last time on Paradise, so she should not criticize Brendan about Piper, LOL. Well, okay, let's get to Demi, the Demi of it all. Her name title is Demi God. I was like, wow, that's like bold to have that to be her name, her profession or whatever. And so this was kind of a long version of her intro with David Spade. I thought it was really funny. It seems like he kind of is turned on by her, and so it was kind of creepy. I did like that she called him Joe Dirt. I was like, did you actually see that movie? Did someone tell you to say that? Was my question.
I didn't love that he was like, so what are we looking for? Like, guys, girls? I was just like...
He said P or V, which was kind of creepy.
That was weird and didn't land for me at all, but she went with it, so...
Yeah, like they had like an awkward kind of banter that I found to be decently entertaining, but I agree there was some awkward moments that did not land. And I kind of wish that he had longer, because this was only his 2-episode arc, and then we're gonna have another person for 2 other episodes. So I wish that he had a little bit better, longer time to get into this role a little bit better, because I think that he's still too rusty, personally.
Yeah. Well, I think he also kind of was just like checked out. Like once I realized how short his time was, and then I also was reading some stuff online, and by reading I mean like I read some headlines. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. That he was like pissed about the accommodations, or I guess like the sleeping arrangements are not good. So I think probably he was ready to GTFO after a certain point.
Was he being a diva? Hilarious.
I don't know if he was being like facetious or if he was being serious, because I did not read the article. Bad millennial here, but some food for thought.
That's hilarious, though. I would hope. Think it would be even funnier if they gave him like shitty accommodation.
But yeah.
So she does get a date card, and she goes and she addresses the group, but not before saying, she's like, I love causing trouble. It's my favorite thing to do. Was she always this obnoxious, or like, is it just, yeah, she was? Okay, I don't remember her being as obnoxious.
She's always been like high energy, like spitfire, like coming in hot type person. And I think that's what endeared a lot of people to her. So it's very on brand. I think she just like, to what Bean just said, like, I didn't take it as her criticizing Brendan about the Piper thing, like, from a hypocritical perspective. It was more so like, oh, this is my way of flipping the script to change it from, like, him not being interested in me to then, like, being like, oh, well, how dare he do this? That's not fair to me. And this is not okay. And how could he not? Why would he waste my time? Like, it was a way for her to change the narrative, which was not in her favor at that moment, to be like, oh, I'm against him now because that's disrespectful, as opposed to her actually like criticizing it and like not recognizing that she did the same thing, basically.
Mm-hmm. So she goes, she's going to take a couple people on like a mini date just to get to know them, to decide who she wants to take on her full date card date. First up is Conor. She takes for a chat. And he was kind of excited about the fact that she knew his name. She says that she loves cats and that she has 7 cats. So do you think that saying that you have 7 cats and then revealing that you actually only have 3 cats, would that endear you to somebody, or would that still make you be like, questionable?
I love that people have love for pets. I'm more of a dog person than a cat person myself. I don't dislike cats. 7 is a lot of cats. Hopefully she's giving them a good home, but 7 is a little too many cats for me.
And so how is 3? And 3 is okay? It's still
3? I actually know people that have like 3 cats. So I think it just depends on, like, I know someone that has 3 cats right now, and they're like the biggest cat person and like such a good like cat mom that it's fine, you know, but I think I would be overwhelmed by 3 cats.
All right. Luigi says Demi is openly doing theater where the others are trying to be low key about it. Yes, that's what I do like about Demi, is that she is playing the game. She's on the show.
She's not hiding it,
pretending like this is something, like she wants to say, she wants to keep the rose. She's not pretending like she doesn't want to do that. And this is why I think where Victoria P gets caught a little bit, because like if she was a little bit more bold in like what her actual intentions were, she might have been able to get away with a friendship rose or something like that. But because like she was pretending something that she wasn't, I think that's why she got caught personally. Sandra agrees with me. David Stage would be a good permanent host. I do think he could warm up and be better. Yes, don't mind him. Demi is such a ridiculous person to me. Yes, I agree. She's pretty ridiculous. I feel like she was even more ridiculous than usual, but if you're saying that this is how she always was.
Yeah, she's always so wild.
Okay, who's worse, Demi or Victoria?
Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria's the worst.
Victoria. Like, Demi, at least I can be like, whether I'm into her vibe or not into her vibe, I at least am entertained by her. I'm not entertained by Victoria. Like, she doesn't offer anything to me.
Well, Cassandra agrees. Can't lie, Demi makes me laugh. Everyone else is boring. Yeah, everybody else was pretty boring. She does call Kenny over for a little mini date, and he takes off his shirt. I'm like, I'm not into Kenny at all. I was trying to say like he's attractive or something like that, and people are like standing him and being like, "Oh my god, he's so hot!" And like I remember people sending nude photos of him for me to like see. I think I sent them to you as well. And I'm not into the whole package. For me, it's not my vibe. I think you'd be like, I'd be with Conor over him. I think. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Different, you know what? Everyone has different tastes and, different. I'm not going to yuck someone else's yum. I honestly think his personality is what's most attractive to him, even though they're trying to make it like about his body, which I understand he's like cut and like fit and all of this stuff. But like, he just seems more fun to hang out with to me, as opposed to like, I'm not actually like physically attracted to his vibe, if that makes sense.
Neither is Cassandra, because she says Kenny and those star pube placement tattoos don't do it for me at all. Yeah, that's stars.
I mean, we do. No comment. No. The placement of those tattoos, I agree.
I would be with Karl over him. Me too. I'd be with Karl over Kenny, I think. I do think. It's so hard, but I think I would. Karl, seriously? It's close. Like they're like at par. That's what I think for sure. So he takes off his shirt and their little mini date and talks about how hot his body is. Whatever. And then she calls over Brendan and they're holding hands as they walk away. And she's all talking about his eyes. Oh my God, your eyes are so blue. And she is really giddy and flirty with him. Now, do you think this was an act, or do you think that she actually thought that she had a connection with him?
I think she wanted to make out with him because he's hot and she's very forward. But I absolutely do not think that there was this physical chemistry coming from both parties that she tried to make it seem like. She tried to sell it like they had this wild sexual chemistry. That was, come on, like, no. But I do think she's like, oh, he's hot, I want to make out with him. Okay, it's Bachelor in Paradise. Like, it's early days, as they say in Love Island. So, anything can happen. You're one of the first people that's come in after the fact. But it was not a two-way street whatsoever.
So she does end up taking Brendan on the date. And of course, Natasha's like, oh my God, it's drink o'clock. Like, she's just like all ready to spiral. And it's kind of like, if he likes Demi and he doesn't like you, like you guys have such a different vibe. And I personally don't see him being interested in a Demi type. He seems to like someone that's a little bit more sultry, a little bit more like mysterious, as opposed to Demi, who's kind of just like out there and in your face and wacky and fun. It just doesn't seem like his vibe.
No. If the last people he's dated are like Claire-ish, sort of, not really, and then Tayshia and Piper, like I don't think Demi's of the same energy or physically his type either, if he has a physical type. So no.
So Conor and Tajon talk about puns. Were you impressed by his punology?
No.
I mean, I love a good pun. I do. But like the fact that she was so like, wow, tell me another ocean pun.
It reminds me of this improv
game.
It reminds me of this improv game that I used to have to play called Waiter Waiter, and like basically like somebody is like seated and everybody else is just like standing in a line facing them, and they have to be like, waiter, waiter, excuse me, like I found a blank in my soup, and like someone would give a random word that it is, or they would come up with a random word. So they'd be like, waiter, waiter, I found a shoe in my soup. And then like someone would pretend to be the waiter and deliver a pun associated with that. And it just gave me that same level of energy of an improv game. So I wasn't particularly impressed with it. But sure, everything he does reminds me of like people I went to school with. So I think maybe that's why I have a level of discomfort with him, to the guitar, to the puns, to just him overall energetically. Like I don't know that I love Conor. I really don't know. Like especially after the final roast, or sorry, Men Tell All, like I'm seriously out on that.
We were never in, and his kisses have not improved, and it's still all about his kisses, and they turn me off. I'm not into his kisses.
Yeah, I feel like this episode confirmed to me that he is not good at kissing, as discussed on the main show. Like it was not looking good for him.
So we have the sad music for Natasha as she walks away, and then cut to Brendan and Demi on the jet skis having such a good time. And he kind of just says to her, like, when they're having their little moment together, like, oh, I didn't really know you existed until like 2 hours ago. So he just is like cutting her ego, like, just like, go. Let's just, I don't care about who you think you are, Demi, which I thought was hilarious, because like he's like going with this guy and she thinks that she, like, everybody knows who she is, and like people are just like, I'm sorry, who are you?
That's so funny, because she's like riding her reputation in the franchise. So I got cut down for size there.
So they do kiss, and it was a decent kiss. Like the kiss was better than any kiss that I've seen Conor do. And so I didn't necessarily see any, hearts coming from his side. And clearly he didn't feel anything, because it seems like immediately after, like it had to be in a while after, but they cut it this way. But it seemed like immediately after, he was telling her that, like, yeah, let's keep our options open. Like, I have been talking to other people so far. Like, I don't want to get locked into anybody. I just met you. What did you think about this switch? Was it her kissing skills?
No, I think like I said, I don't think it was like as two-sided as she wanted to sell it to be. Like they did kiss. He received the kiss. She definitely initiated. There's nothing wrong with that. But this editing reminded me of that episode of Vanderpump Rules where it's like Ariana's birthday and she's really upset because Sandoval is going to go to Las Vegas with his boys, and they have this whole conversation where she's like crying and she's like, please stay. Like, it's important for me that you don't go, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I care about you, and that I'll stay and I'll always be here for you. but the guy said that we're renting bulldozers and we're going to go move dirt around. So, and it was just like such a like intense transition. And it's clearly edited for maximum impact. Like there's no way that came right after everything he said. I felt the same way about the pacing of this, where it was just like the editors were really having some fun with this episode, like just maxing out the cringe, maxing out the awkward. There's like so many moments where I had to look away because of that. Like it was for sure max discomfort vibes. I'm sure it didn't happen immediately after.
No, I don't think so either. But how they said it, I'm like, oh my God, cringe. Like, ouch, ouch, ouch. So Luigi didn't want to come back to you with a pun here, which is better than all the puns of Conor on the beach. And a shoe is in your soup. Something strange is afoot.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's funny, Luigi. That's funny. So Cassandra also says that Demi didn't keep her cards close enough to her chest. No, she didn't. So it's right after she's like, oh my God, like I'm embarrassed. Like I can't believe, like, oh my, like I'm the cream of the crop. Like I can't believe he did this to me. Like she totally took such offense to him basically saying that he's on Paradise to like maybe meet somebody and he's not 100% sure that it's her after one date. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit strange that she was so mad at him, but I know this is part of her brand. To be offended, but he didn't really do anything wrong.
No, if anything, he was just, I guess like where it gets skewed is that they had everything simultaneously spreading with the rumors that he is already seeing Piper as he's accepting going on dates and getting to know Natasha and all of this stuff. So it's seeming very devious. Like, how could you be here if you already have something going on? But in the situation, I read it as him being like, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not going to be into her or give her my rose. So I'm just going to say what I have to say, which I would personally appreciate that honesty. Though, of course, it hurts to be rejected, especially when you're being so forward. I get why she was offended, but I do think she was like kind of like playing it up a bit. Or having been on the show before, knowing how embarrassing that could then seem, that she like made such a bold move and then got shut down. Like she probably has that awareness of like how that will come off. So I get that. I do think she was being a little bit extra. But
yeah, and like she probably also knows that she may not get a rose now. She thought that this was like a surefire rose that she'd be getting here. And now it's like, oh, wait, I'm going to have to go back and start and talk to people again and try to get a rose from somebody. I thought that I would be able to get his rose for taking him on this date. And I'm not. Ugh.
Yeah.
PB wants to know, what kind of school did you go to?
Theater school. So basically a training ground for any reality show, apparently, because you just constantly have to be able to listen and improvise and
pretend
character build. Yeah, you know, and it could get you the lead of the show, just like Greg. So maybe that should be what you do after theater school. Just try and get on reality TV.
I mean, people would be good. Like, I think that they'd be better than some of their candidates so far.
So you learn all those skills.
Right? Like you know, being engaging, saying yes to everything, like all the lessons of actually this could be a book, Tanya.
Oh, yeah.
No, you should write a book or start a blog that is how theater school taught me how to become the best bachelor or bachelorette. And like you can use like what you learned in theater school as like, you know, like how I'm saying yes to suggestions in improv stuff. Like that's really great in, you know, the Bachelor, Bachelorette.
Yeah.
This could
I think they're honestly like they are transferable skills. Like even aside from TV or like anything like that, most of what you learn is actually helpful for like any profession that you have. So, you know, it's good, but I mean, I'm not an actor, so take from that what you will.
Cassandra said Conor cringed her out when he was fangirling over Demi. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his. I'm sorry, guys. I know you love the cat suit or whatever. Marissa Conor are phony as a $2 Canadian bill. Or is it $3? I can't tell. Three? I was going to say, like, we have $2 we used to anyways, and I think I still have some in my wallet, which I can show you next time. So $3 bill, fine, because I don't have one of those.
She's just trying to stay until she finds somebody who's a better fit for her. So I don't blame anybody for doing that in this show at all. I do feel kind of bad for Conor in the sense that I feel like he'll always end up being that guy that happens to.
Yeah.
It's like kind of continuing on that Katie narrative for him of just like kind of like just always that friend zoned guy. Like he's just that's that type of energy he gives, and I'm sure he probably gets pigeonholed as that all the time, which would suck.
It's because he's not a good kisser.
But he's a great songwriter, so
is he though? Like it's like kind of goofy songs. He's not like John Mayer, you know?
No.
James is harder than Conor. Is to agree or disagree?
I'm like, okay, so yes, in theory, but I'm not a James girl, I have to say. And this episode plummeted his stocks for me even further. Like, I just can't get behind this guy. He's not done anything offensive. I don't know. He's not for me. He's not for me.
He's not for me either. I know he's aesthetically good looking, but I guess I'm not into muscles that look so hard. I don't know what it is. Like, he's just like, everything just looks so tight and hard. He just doesn't look like, I don't know. I'm not interested in him. I'm not interested in Kenny. They have the same kind of tight muscle thing that it doesn't seem smart or something.
Muscle boys.
Like maybe it says like they're not funny. Like, I don't know.
It's his lack of awareness for me. Like, every situation that happened to him, he seemed to not understand actually what was happening and had a completely different perspective. And I guess I can kind of relate to being maybe gullible or like wanting to believe something or not. But I was like, my guy, how can you not realize that this girl doesn't even like you at all? Like, are you serious? Like, how do you not get this? There's a big disconnect there for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear with him and the Victoria P of it all. Okay, so I'm not sure what you're asking here, Luigi, but I'm interested in your answer if what I just deduce is your question. So would you book train a theater grad to try for a villain edit, a ring winner, or the next lead? So how do you think, which of these three archetypes would be the best transferring your theater skills to?
I think what you would have to do is trying to identify what direction you think you're being produced into and lean into that narrative. I think if you can get a sense of whether you're going to be on more of a villain track or more of a like serious contender track, and then kind of cater your strategy to that, because at the end of the day, they're always going to try and like push that kind of storyline for you, and they're really in control of how you're going to come across. So if you can figure that out and then say yes to that offer, and then you have to just not judge what direction they put you in and just try and cater your game to that. I think that would be my strategic way of doing it anyways. I don't know if that would actually work or not.
Of course it would work. Tanya can't Tamika can't stand James either, Tanya. I mean, okay, so BP, both of you would choose James over Karl. I don't know.
Maybe not Chantele, she might choose Karl.
I might choose Karl. I really am not interested in James at all. Not Karl either, but James, like, at least Karl, I feel like I could make fun of him to his face and he would take it. You know what I mean? Like, James just doesn't seem smart enough for me. Yeah, not it. I don't know what it is either, Tamika. Yes, my voice.
How far we've come. How far we've come.
Oh, how far we come is right. Okay, let's blow through the rest of this episode. So everybody's trying to thinking that he's holding out for Piper. Game of telephone is happening where, did you hear this? Oh, did you hear that? Oh, did you hear this? Did that? I thought it was really interesting because they usually don't really talk that much about these things on the show. Like, they kind of try to make it seem like, oh, surprise, you're here? I was hoping you'd be here. Like, we know that you guys know that that's happening. So I found it interesting that they allowed it to be a full on storyline. And then we have Kelsey and Victoria P strategizing on the beach. And so Victoria P decides that she's going to go and maybe talk to James, even though she's not into it at all. What do you think about, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it a little bit, James's side, but like Victoria P and James's relationship?
What?
Or what about their first conversation? So they're like, ooh, do you believe in fate? And she's like, well, if it's meant for you, it can't miss you. And then she can't remember his name ever.
That was so rude. I was trying to wrap my mind around whether they were editing it more intensely that she was forgetting his name, and like maybe that was all kind of said in one moment and then like dispersed throughout the episode so that it seemed like she kept doing it. But then it also did seem like she kept doing it, and I was like, this isn't the way to go about this strategy. You got to go the Brendan route. If you do have something going on back home, you got to downplay and like don't act like you don't like this person at all. Like, I think she thought like she put in the least amount of effort and that this boyfriend thing like wouldn't blow up, and that she had secured that rose, which was a huge mistake because it wasn't secure at all. So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like whatever. There's nothing wrong with the fact that at this point, there's not going to be people that have deep connections. There's going to be some people that do, and you're trying to stay around to get a rose so that you can meet somebody else that might be a better fit for you, to get more followers, whatever your purpose is on this show. The name of the game is to stay. Nobody wants to leave. So I don't fault her for gaming. But I didn't like the way she came across. And I was actually thinking, is this how she always was, even on her season? Like, I know there was drama on her season too, like with Peter's girls and stuff. And I was just like, I just don't really think I like her, to be honest.
Well, because Sandra thinks James is gross and was living for Victoria, pretending to like him. It was hilarious. I mean, it was just, to me, it was just so obvious that she wasn't into him at all.
Yeah, she wasn't.
And so the fact that he was getting smitten over her, like, was quite bizarre, in my opinion. So then we get Karl comes out with a date card, and he's like really taunting everybody with this date card, and it is for Jasenia, and she chooses, or was it the other way around? Yeah, it was for Jasenia, and she chose Ivan. And so they kind of have a cute little date. It's time to make a splash. And they have like a table in the water at nighttime, and they had a pretty good conversation. I thought it was interesting that she mentions, and that they kept it in the show, that she got a lot of racially directed hate after Matt's season, and she'd never received anything like that before. And he also recognized that as a man, he didn't get any of that hate, even though he is a person of color and on a season during all this whirlwind of Black Lives Matter, et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought it was very interesting that he was able to recognize that he gets treated differently, even just being a man of color, than a woman of color does. So I like their conversation, and I thought they're cute together. They look the same.
Oh, yeah. They look so cute together. I really actually hope this kind of has some legs to it, because they're nice, like, pair. I like the way they play off of each other. And yeah, that conversation, I feel like something has obviously been lacking in the main franchise. It was nice to see that air and like actually, cover some serious stuff, but in a way that didn't feel heavy, and in a way that these two could relate to each other, because there's some overlap or some understanding of what their lived experience is like. Like, this is a conversation between a man who is half Black, half Filipino, and a Latina. And I appreciated that we got to see that, as opposed to some of the maybe more forced conversations. Like, when you play that conversation, and then you look at like Andrew S's conversation with Katie, or even Ivan's conversation with Tayshia to an extent, they tonally didn't feel, I don't know what word I'm looking for. Yeah, it just like felt very like, we're talking about these things, like very presentational. This felt like an actual conversation between two people. And I was glad that it was part of the show. Like it fit seamlessly in with their date too.
Definitely. And it made me really like them both together because they were willing to have these conversations and they were willing to show it. I was very impressed that they showed it. So clap a couple of claps for Bachelor for airing this conversation. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always said, I'm like, they are very good looking together.
I know.
Now they're making out in the water. They would have like the most gorgeous children. Oh my goodness. They're just a very cute couple.
She looks amazing all the time. Like, I don't want to reduce any of these women to just their beauty because I think they have a lot of qualities, but she honestly always looks flawless and gorgeous. Like her hair, her makeup, body, everything. Just like stunning. We love to see it.
She's definitely gorgeous. Definitely. So the girls back at the villa, I don't know what to call it, but base camp, telling Demi about Piper. And I'm like, oh boy, they're going to set this hurricane into motion. And then Brendan comes over and everybody's just like awkward. So he's going to leave. And she brings up a Piper and he says that he's not in a relationship. And so like, I'm happy that he kind of stands his ground at least and not get like kind of bullied into like, looking like he's being an asshole when he hasn't actually done anything wrong. Like he really hasn't done anything wrong. A girl picked him to go on a date. He said yes. They kissed. And he said that he wants to still keep his options open. He's been talking to other people before she came into the conversation. And he still wants to get to know her, but they're not an item. Like, I don't know, like, why... Well, I mean, I know why, but like she's really going overboard, I think, with like making him the bad guy here.
Yeah.
I did love though how everybody was trying to overhear what they're saying.
I know. Everyone was like, what's going on over there? This conversation's happening. I think it's like, I don't know if we're going to be, I'm trying to be aware of the double standard, I guess, because it seemed very clear that like whatever Victoria P's situation was like worse than whatever Brendan was doing. So I'm trying to like be aware even myself of that double standard of like, why am I like more quick to think that he's not doing anything as bad versus her? Like, I'm just like clocking that. Cause it maybe is the same, but he's just more convincing in his approach, or I don't really know. I'm not sure. I think it's like, of course people are on the show. Like,
maybe
I think a lot more people have pre-gamed with relationships. I think a lot more people have like set the groundwork for who they're going to see here than just him and just Victoria P. You know, like I think that's something that happens anyways. So I'm hesitant for anyone to get like called out more unless they were like literally like fully dating someone, which maybe he is. And maybe that's where that pushback is the disconnect of like what his relationship really is with Piper, which the show is like, perfect, we're going to use this as like an entire storyline.
Well, I'm thinking the difference between him and Victoria P is that her boyfriend is not part of the Bachelor Nation. So I think that if people knew like Victoria P's guy, like if it was, I don't know, somebody, and there's rumors that like she's just being on the show to wait for him to come on the show so he can, I don't know, even if it's still to advance his career, I think that they would be more open to it. But I think it's the fact that it's somebody that's not involved in the franchise. It seems like, oh, how dare you try to make fame for somebody else? You can only make fame for people in this group. So I think that for me, that's what came up to be the difference of why we're treating it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So now Natasha and Brendan have a little bit of a talk, and this is the talk we were talking about a little bit at the beginning. And, you know, she wants to know why wouldn't she have just, like, he just explored that with Piper outside of here, which is a good question. And he's able to say, like, you know, I really enjoy spending time with you, which is fair. And, like, I really feel that he said the right things to her because it's like, I feel like I have the strongest connection with you. And I'm like, okay, she's in. You got her.
Plus, she's not stupid. She knows that, like, at the end of the day, even if he's like, for Natasha at this point, it's like, yeah, you can have the option of Brendan, sure. But if that's not an option, it's still better for you to hitch your wagon to him right now, because that ensures that you stay. Next week you get the rose, and then see who comes in, and then like it's not your fault if someone comes in that you then like more, because he's already trying to explore different things, even though they have the best connection. So it's still our best case scenario to like go along with what he's saying, which is partly why I was like, does she really actually know what's going on, or whatever? But like, yeah, stick with him. If he's gonna give you the rose, totally, you gotta stick it out.
Stick with him so you can just make out with him, like, for at least like a week. Like, yeah. I would love to be faking a relationship with him. He's so cute.
Right? Could be worse.
So they walk out to the water, and this is the worst thing that they could have possibly done, because Demi starts screeching, like thinking that it was so rude of them, and he's such a player, and she's crying, and like she like really took it too far. I mean, I know it's Demi, but like, chill out, girl. Like, you've literally known him for like 10 seconds. He doesn't know who you are. You've had one kiss. Like, they were on a beach. They're not doing it for you. They don't even know where you are. They don't even know who you are. She thought you were a hyena, or like, what's that sound? Like,
yeah. Oh,
Demi. So what do you think about Karl and Deanna kissing?
Oh, Deandra,
sorry.
Another person who just needs to secure the rose this week. Like, there's so many people that could potentially be into Deandra. She's stunning. She seems fun. She seems chill. Like, I want her to stay. Unfortunately, it's gonna be Karl. I'm sad to say, but you gotta do it, you know? And that's what I don't like about this show, is you gotta do it. Like, that's just so, ugh.
Someone just like, he's like, I got a rose, come to Buffy. Like,
I appreciated that she was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this.
I'm giving you a kiss, and she's like,
like,
he hates her life. It's kind of like going out for dinner with like a sugar daddy, and then you're just like, oh gosh.
It's like, please God, can some more men please come into this? Please.
Poor girl. So Conor and Marissa are back at it, and she wants reassurance from him. And I'm like, why does she want reassurance from him? I mean, I guess maybe other girls could be going after him. But this tells me that he's actually not that interested in her. Whenever a guy's like, oh, like, well, you could have asked me to talk, or you could have come to me, that means that you're not into them, right? Because they would come to you if they felt like you were open for them to like come and be cuddly or be whatever. So women also, are sorry, go ahead.
Like, she's, you know, like, not out of his league, but she's like a bombshell. So I think is like realizing that he's like, you know, with someone who is hotter than him, and that's going to be like kind of a mind fuck for anyone to be like, oh shit, does this person like me? Do I like them? What's going on? I should, because they're extremely attractive. You know, like, there's like that level of challenge happening.
What's going to happen though? This is how he gets friend zoned, is because he doesn't put enough oomph into the chase or into the, you know, the first few dates. Like, I don't know, if I'm on a beach with some guy 24/7 and I have to be like, hey, can you just give me some reassurance that you're into me? Because like, I can't tell. Like, you should be able to tell. And if you can't tell, I'd be like, okay, well, let's see if there's somebody else that will give me the attention that I'm looking for. And this is how you get friend zone, Conor. So he does say, though, you can just grab me and kiss me. I'm like, bleh. No thanks. She's probably like, I don't want to. So a little bit more Victoria P happens. She's going to explore things with, I can't remember his name. Oh, right, James. They have the conversation. The weird one is like, when you wake up in the morning, do you pee outside or the toilet? What about you, Tanya? Do you pee outside or in the toilet?
The toilet.
I know. It wasn't a real question.
I was like, wait. I was like, hold on. Am I missing something? I like, whatever. No, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Sure. She was taking one for the team there, though, with their kiss. You could tell that she's not attracted to him in the least. Even like probably I've never seen somebody so like, oh my God, I don't want to do this at all. Worse than Marissa, I mean, worse than Deandra and Karl. Like she really is not into James. So we hear about the playbook. So apparently she has a boyfriend, and the whole thing is that she's supposed to stay on Paradise for as long as she can, then dumps the guy and goes back to Louisiana where her boyfriend wants to be a country star, and then like hopefully have the cameras following her to see them like reunite because she still loves him or something like that. So this is what her playbook is. If this was your playbook, would you share this with anybody?
Absolutely not. And I'd be questioning who's really getting played here, because a huge red flag to me is that you're dating a wannabe country star that is okay with you going on this show and doing that. Like, we might want to check in, do a wellness check on that guy, because I'm not loving that vibe at all as a completely external person coming in on fragments of the situation. I'm like, oh, your man sounds sus as well. So it's
like, is he only with her because she's part of the Bachelor franchise? Like,
what does he think's gonna happen though? Like at this point, she's not like, is she that popular? Like, it's past Peter's season. I don't know that she was super well liked even then. I think that she had maybe some popularity in the way that all like attractive blonde women do. That's like the other side of the Greg situation, is like blonde girls with extensions that are hot. You know, like she should probably figure out what's going on in her life that brought her to this point. Because I'm not I'm not feeling good about her country music man.
Right, and I guess they live in Nashville together right now. So she's from Louisiana, and that the whole outside toilet thing was the Louisiana thing, and then her boyfriend's in Nashville. And I just was like, this story's so weird. Like, this is what you guys concocted? Are you guys not smart enough to concoct a better plan than this?
And how is that going to help his career? Like, how is that going to help his career or either of you?
I think just for like Instagram fame.
Wow. Okay.
Like social media status.
Okay.
I guess.
Good luck.
So we come over to the rose ceremony, cocktail party, or whatever you want to call that, pre-rose ceremony. And I think Demi says this to Kenny. I didn't recognize you with your clothes. Oh no, Dave said this to Kenny. I'm on a first name or short name with Dave. I didn't recognize you with your clothes on. I was like, that's funny. I laughed a little bit. Ivan is pretty confident. Says that he's confident, and this is the other funny that Dave said. James is pretty confident, and he's like, open heart, open shirt. I was like, yes, call him out on the open shirt, Dave. What are you gonna say?
James say like this is another example of the editing being so funny, because I bet you every single person had to say how they felt going into that. But the cut from Ivan being like, I'm confident about who's getting my rose tonight, and everyone being like, aw, so sweet, like, so cute, to then immediately James being like, yeah, me too. And everyone being like, oh. Like, I was like, James, no, come on. Like, love yourself a bit more. You can't possibly believe this. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand.
Part of this kind of was, tell me if you picked up on this as well. And this is piggybacking onto your thoughts about the Noah and Abigail of it all from last week. And so I kind of feel like Noah is trying to train Abigail, because they have they do a cheers, and he's like, eye contact when you cheers me, Abigail. And like how he said that it could have been a joke or whatnot. And she's like, oh yeah, look into my eyes. And she kind of made a joke out of it. But how he said it to me was like, it was like she was doing something wrong. And it's like she needs to know like the rules of how to interact with him. Like there was something very domineering about their interaction that reminded me of what you were speaking of last week, when he was telling her how she should act on a date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, it's like a specific shade of like, I guess, manipulation to an extent of like overwhelming you with these compliments about like how amazing you are, but then also being like, well, you should do this because you deserve this. And you like, it's like, I'm asserting how you should do things or how you should feel. And that's my way of empowering you. Get it? And like, I think she's particularly susceptible to that kind of approach. And I don't enjoy it. It's very red flaggy to me. And I feel like she's going to get hurt as a result of this.
Or get stuck in a deep relationship with this person, and then it might get to the next level where it's very controlling.
Yeah.
I'm worried for her.
It's murky for me. I don't like that kind of behavior personally.
I'll put a pin in it. But like, I'm definitely keeping my eyes on that relationship because it's looking to me like she's going to get sucked into a relationship with a guy that completely controls her and will be very submissive within that relationship. So obviously I don't want that for her, but that's what it's feeling so far. And that's on episode 2. Like that's not good in my opinion.
Yeah. I want to give her credit and hope that she's like got awareness of that. And maybe that's why she's being as guarded as she's being with him, which again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking things at whatever pace is right for you. And you know that better than anybody else. So I hope, like, as we see more, I'm curious. I'm very curious about where that's going to go for sure. And I don't feel super good about it.
I don't either. So why doesn't anyone like Kelsey? I think that she isn't much more than the champagne girl, right? Like, and everybody else seemed to have some pre-relationships that they wanted to explore on the island already.
I think she would have fared better if this happened last year. I think she had a lot more steam coming out of Peter's season. And again, I think we've got a group that finally has evolved, like past like the choosing the most obvious girls to like, you know, last season it was like, of course everyone loves Hannah G. Hannah G is like, again, like this like beautiful, like blonde Barbie, like sweet girl. Like I feel like the tastes of this group are different. And normally I think Kelsey would be more of a shoo-in, but because it's not what's happening. And she doesn't have the same level of popularity, I guess, that she would have had being in the final 4 of Peter's season if this happened
right after. So Cassandra thinks it's because Kelsey isn't super polished, her hair is never brushed, and her eyelash extensions look clumpy.
I think like she definitely has had some questionably put together looks, but I'm also like, God, how do you look good being in the heat and beach all day? Some of these girls manage to do it. Like, I don't know what kind of professional level glam that they're able to do on themselves, but like, yeah, her extensions are choppy. Actually, hers and Victoria P's extensions are like very, very obvious and choppy. I don't know. That look is not in. That look is not in anymore.
Not it at all. So, okay, the next little section that happens, which is very interesting. So Serena C all of a sudden likes Aaron and goes beelines for Aaron. I believe she kisses him at some point. And then Tammy sees that Serena C is going in on her man. So she goes over and like starts making out with him on the daybed and is like straddling him to the point where they want to go back to the group and he's like, I can't exactly get up yet. Is that the first obvious erection cover-up story we've had on the franchise?
No, because there was that scene of Matt when Serena was getting out of the hot tub, lest we forget. First of all, Serena rapped while he beatboxed and then ended up on his lap, which was so awkward. Like, second to James saying, I know who I'm giving my rose to, was this moment for me of just like, oh no, I don't want to see this happen, but I can't look away. I didn't love the way Aaron handled this. Like, I mean, you got these two like hot girls that want to make out with you, and you're not in a relationship with either of them. So I understand the impulse to go with both, but it felt a little bit tactless to just do it one after the other like that. And I understand the girls were initiating, but like I feel like it kind of ties into the stupidity that the guys were bringing up last week of being like, well, these girls better work for it. It's like, so you're just literally lying on this daybed and you're going to make out with whoever walks up to you. Okay.
So.
Which I think is his immaturity and also just like his kind of being a himbo. Like he's just like so aloof and so Aaron. He's so Aaron.
He's your guy. He's your guy. He's pretty excited. He can't get up. Oh gosh, so awkward. I know you're not a big fan, but I like Serena P and Joe. I think they're kind of cute together. I like it.
This will be where we are not on the same page. No, I think it's from what we've seen. It's cute and fine. I'm just a Joe hater. I don't know.
That's fine. You can be a Joe hater. I don't love him that much, but I do like them together. What they've seen of them so far, I think that they're cute. I do.
Are they gonna be that couple that's just booed up and then like we barely see anything because they're just so secure?
And then Kendall comes in.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So like it's gonna be a messy. She's crying.
Of course.
Yeah, they'll fix that for us. Mm-hmm. So wait, a Tajwan is coming. What happened what was the fight there? Oh, Victoria's talking to Trey.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, Tajwan. Like
it's no concern. No concern.
Not a thing, but she's nervous about like Victoria and Trey like having a conversation. And so then Tajwan comes over and they have like this big blow up of a fight and Victoria is crying and saying that she's crazy. And I believe she actually called Tajwan aggressive, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, and none of like, anyways, yes, maybe aggressive in the sense that she went up and took initiative and said like, I don't want you to talk to my guy. But like, she wasn't aggressive in the sense that she was should have made her feel like uncomfortable, like she felt unsafe. And that's how I take when I hear the word aggressive is that they felt unsafe. And so whatever, Victoria,
mm-hmm.
cry about it.
We also know how that word is weaponized against particularly Black women. So I mean, whatever intent she had behind it, it's not a great look. And also, this is exactly why I just don't care for Victoria. Like, even if you remove that, it's just like, whatever. Did you even talk to Trey at all before this? Did you even talk to anybody? You just stood there and waited for people to come to you? Like, get over yourself, please. Like, seriously. She's a little bit more docile than she was on Matt's season. I guess she saw herself and gained a little bit of perspective. But at the end of the day, I just, like, not entertained by her. She's not funny. She's not fun. The goddess bit is not entertaining. Done. Like, hello, goodbye. Like, that's it.
Exactly. So hopefully we'll get Tanya's Aaron and Chantel's Thomas drama tonight.
I hope so.
Boys are going up against each other.
It's not looking good for Aaron in that situation.
Very excited about the Thomas of it all. Because even on his stories, he's like, I'm coming in tonight. Are you ready? I'm not. I'm like, yes, Thomas. No, you're Sorry, I'm obsessed with them. Just because I so don't like Blake and Katie, like, it just makes me like anybody that she rejected even more. Because I'm like, you dodged a bullet. Lucky you. Now you get to have like the best of both worlds. You get to go on Paradise. You get to have women throwing themselves all over you. Like, you don't have to worry about the right or wrong reasons. If you want to be the Bachelor, be the Bachelor. Like, whatever. Like, it's just like he can be himself. So, or play a role, whatever. He can do whatever he wants in my book right now. It's better than watching Katie and Blake. So Tammy is just like deciding to be the pot stirrer, like taking Demi's role here. Tells James about Victoria P and the boyfriend, and about how the fact that Victoria P keeps on forgetting his name. Ooh, awkward. He pulls Kelsey over to confirm the story because Tammy says like Kelsey knows the truth. Kelsey confirms this, and then he pulls Victoria P, and she did a very bad job in reassuring him on anything. How do you think she handled this situation?
Just poorly. So poorly. Shit, like, that was unbelievable at all.
At all. And then you see Victoria P going over, or VP as they call her, to Tammy and Kelsey. That was another thing that was really weird. She's like, I'm going to practice like my therapy techniques. And I'm wondering if she's talking about like cord cutting.
Oh, yeah.
Was that cord cutting? Because like
I'm setting my boundaries. I'm setting my boundaries. I was like, this is the most intense boundary setting I've ever seen.
Like she could be cord cutting, which is like you kind of moving energy and cutting cords and maybe. But so I don't really want to like mock what she's doing because like I can get behind some of those things, but it just seemed very gimmicky how she was using it, you know?
It was so ridiculous. Like setting boundaries and doing what you need to do to preserve your mental health is definitely a thing. But this was like such a like classic, I'm going to take that idea and like use it in a situation that like it does not apply to in the same way. Because it's like you're done with a conversation because you've just been exposed. That's not you being like, oh, this is my boundary. I'm setting my boundary. No. It's like you got called out and now you're about to run for the hills because you just got called out. Yeah. So like that's what it is. Then you being like, it's like someone being like, oh, I quit. Actually, you're fired. You know, like one of those things where it's just like you can't just flip the script like that. No. You got caught in a lie. And
she left. She left the show, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna leave the show, Demi was like, oh, and she's like,
she's like,
down for you. Like she just like swooped right in there for good old James. I was like, where was Kelsey and Victoria B? Like Kelsey and Victoria L. Like that was a very wide open for them to just go in there. Like I think Kelsey could have had a shot with James.
Very skilled play on Demi's part. Not only did she see the opening very clear, but she also approached him in a way that he could buy into, you know?
And like what she says is just like, Demi, she's like, you're just so big and I'm just so little. I'm like, who tease you? Like, he is sold. He's sold for sure. You got the rose, Demi. That's all you had to say. And she even says, she's like, yeah, we're going to go for James. Fuck it.
Yeah. She's like, okay, well, Hail Mary, here I go. Like, I just got to do it. I know exactly what's going to work and work like a charm. Thank you, Victoria P.
But of course, a little bit too late. Kelsey wants James now. Whatever, Kelsey.
Oh my God.
And in so much that when they go and they're actually doing the rose ceremony portion of this, Wells introduces it or whatever. You don't get a rose. The 3 women that don't get a rose are going to be leaving the villa today. And she decides to have a little bit of a panic attack / fainting spell. What do you think about this tactic?
I mean, I've fainted before, and when you're about to faint, you don't bounce back that quickly. Like, she looked really hot. Everyone looked really hot. I totally understood that. I think that would be enough to make you feel pass outy. But like the quickness of it all, I was just like, we're prolonging the inevitable now. You're feeling anxious about the fact that you're going to be eliminated. We know where we're going with this. Let's just get to it, you know? Let's just get to these eliminations because the writing's on the wall. We all know.
Absolutely. So all the roses go out. There was no suspense for me whether it was going to be Kelsey or Demi getting this rose. As I said in the beginning, we saw Demi in the supercut. So we know that Demi's making it at least another episode. So she gets the final rose from James. So her and James are going to be canoodling. She's probably just like And Kelsey, Victoria L, and Serena C, and David Spade are leaving Sayulita for good, or for now. So that's episode 2. I mean, pretty good episode. That's fun.
Yeah, I was entertained.
Definitely entertained. I can't wait to see what happens tonight. I think it's going to be a fun little episode. Our guys coming in. I was kind of thinking about our draft, and like, I don't know. I like the fact that like I have more people on the show than you do, so maybe we'll just leave it that way. You only have Conor and somebody else. Aaron. And I have 4. I have James, I have Thomas, I have Trey, and I have somebody else.
That's not very fair because I curated my selection for a different show and not for this show. And probably would have made
I was doing it for maximum drama in the franchise.
So
okay, well, what do you want to do then? Do you want to do something about it? Or you want to think on it for tomorrow and we'll figure it out?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter what we do. It's fine.
All right. Well, if you guys have any suggestions in the audience what we should do about it, if we should redraft something, if you have any ideas as to what we should talk about with our draft, what kind of points we can get, let us know in the comments right now, and then we will take a look at them for tomorrow's episode and maybe include them if we have some good suggestions. So do you have anything else you want to share about this episode, or call it sayonara until 20 minutes from now? We're going to be watching another episode.
I think the second episode is probably the more action-packed, and we'll probably end with some enticing moments to carry us to next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens tonight.
Me too. Oh, hold on. We have one last question. So what was your reaction to Victoria's P's exit while she was in the car? I didn't write anything down. I just remember just thinking, like, I don't understand you. Like,
I don't remember what she said.
I don't remember what she said either.
I'll have to revisit that. I'm not sure what she did.
I'll take a look again, Natalie, and I'll see what I think, because I don't remember specifically. I can picture it, but I don't remember what she said in the car. I didn't write it down. So Tamika, can't wait for Thomas. Really worried.
Riley.
Is that how you spell his name? Riley's going to mess up my Trey and Tajwan and then dump her, shaking my head. I don't know if he'll dump her necessarily. Wait, no, he likes Marissa.
Well, there is drama though between him and Trey based on the preview.
Yeah,
like, I can't believe that he would do that or whatever. So we'll see.
Some drafting happening because like I want some of these points for these.
Well, he probably comes in with a date card, or he probably like comes in with a date card, or like kind of similar to Demi, gets to like pull a few people first. So maybe that's why Trey's so upset that his friend would do that. That's my guess, anyways.
Sorry, this is funny. Lou just said someone might want to explain to Victoria P. You don't have to announce your therapy techniques as you're practicing them.
Yeah.
It seems as though it's very performative. If like you're like, you know what, I'm gonna try something that I learned in therapy. But that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much in the comments. Sorry we weren't able to get to all of them today, but we do appreciate you guys having your own little banter in the chat group as well. Tanya, where can people find you online?
Just there. There. See? My Instagram. If you feel so inclined. And here, as we recap this.
Yay! So we should be back here tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Remember to subscribe. It's very helpful to the channel so that, you know, you can come and be part of the conversation with us. Like this video. And again, leave us in the comments what you want us to do, if we should make a full draft, if you have any ideas as to what we need, what tropes of Bachelor in Paradise we need to clock, like maybe who gets dates from a date card. You know, stuff like that. So let us know your thoughts here, and we will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern.